Have you ever asked yourself, why is my husband doing that? I bet many of you have. Well, you're in luck because today we have captured the unexpected, caught on tape moments that make you just say, ooh. They're the unhealthy things your husband's doing when he thinks that you're not looking. He's gross.
It tastes better out of the jar.
He's grungy.
Around inside the room. But I never ever get a chance to sit in this chair.
And there's no limit to the downright unhealthy things your husband does. He thinks you don't know about his dirty little habits. But today, he's busted. It's time to expose how your husband's secret behaviors can be sabotaging your family's health. So I picked a few of my favorite unhealthy habits, and we're going to start in the bathroom. Jennifer here was all too eager to document her husband Jason's unhygienic habits. When Jennifer, he seems so calm and demure and polite. Why would you sell him out?
Jason's a great guy, but some of his bathroom habits are kind of icky.
Are you ready to look at the evidence?
Yeah.
Let's roll the videotape.
It is not an uncommon experience that I come in here to take a shower, and lo and behold, I find a tub filled with old, cold, dirty water that I have to drain before I can use the shower. So that's a little irritating.
All right, audience, they didn't seem very happy with that. Is sitting water in a tub unhealthy, or is it just plain gross? Please shout out your thoughts. All right. Well, they think it's gross. Well, I'm here to tell you, Jason, that it is unhealthy. So if you have the opportunity to avoid that risk, it's probably a smart thing to do. So, I've got a little present for you. I got you these very manly blue towels.
They're very beautiful.
It'll help you dry off the tub when you let it out. And you drain the tub. Thank you very much. Thank you. Up next, Tristan and Paul. And Paul's very resourceful. He cuts his own hair. You do a very good job, by the way. I like that. Yes, very good.
Pretty good.
Even and parallel, pretty much. Yeah, it's good. So, you ought to give Paul some kudos for that.
I think it's great that Paul cuts his own hair, except for the fact that he chooses not to clean up at all afterwards. So the floor is covered in hair.
All right, let's look at the evidence. This is what I love the most. Here you are, doing a nice job, cutting it very cleanly, yes, but what's underneath you? Oh, she's yelling at you in the background. Here's the reason. There's hair all over the sink there. Is that the bidet you got it in? You got it on the floor. All kinds of fun things happening. So audience, unhealthy or just plain gross? What do you guys think? Oh, it's much more split, but they still favor gross. They're very tolerant, this audience. Well, it turns out that it's just plain gross. So here is a little broom and set up for you. Now you're a full barber.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Ian and Lindsay. Now, Lindsay says that you are guilty of something, that's an unspeakable something that we are taught as kids not to do. Roll the tape, please.
Did you wash your hands? All right, so that's a complete ignore.
A complete ignore. Is that what you often do with each other?
She likes to ask.
I'm going to ask the audience before I come back to you. How many of you think that's just plain gross, or is it unhealthy that Ian... Unhealthy! No. Well, it's unhealthy and it's gross.
Yeah.
So you lose big time. Why aren't you washing your hands?
Well, they're the obvious trips where, of course, I wash my hands. But if it's a quick trip, if I'm at home...
He gets a little lazy.
So number one.
Number one.
Yeah, oh yeah.
What I love...
Only.
I wouldn't marry him if it was no number two.
No,
Don't worry.
All right, so in your defense, I have this from fairly solid sources. 1 in 4 of us don't wash our hands. And the reason we don't wash our hands is we figure the urine didn't touch our hands, so what's the big deal? But it turns out it's not the pee that's the problem, because your urine should be sterile, right? It's the other germs down there that hang out in your groin area. And there are lots of them. For example, come on over and help me with this. We're going to expose our audience to you. We have Giardia, right? And we have Cryptosporidium. And we have staph. And we have salmonella infections. And we have all kinds of viruses and amoebas and staph infections.
Ew.
All kinds of things. And these are all the germs in your groin area. And now all of our audience, here's one more.
Oh.
All the way up
Just
there,
for
they're
you.
infected. So when you leave the bathroom without taking care of that, all those germs from your groin area are spreading to all the people that you care about, including your loved one. So, but yeah, here's the little deal. I've got a little something for you to help out. some soap and water.
There you go.
Well, thank you.
We showed you some of the unhealthy and gross things your husband was doing when he thought you weren't looking. So now we have turned the tables, and the wives are in the hot seat. And Lenny is joining us, and so is Rodney. Rodney says that Lenny has a habit of borrowing his things. Can you recall any items you may have borrowed from your husband?
You know, Rodney and I have a small bathroom that we share, and we try and keep things separate, but I can't, off the top of my head, remember what I may have borrowed of his, so.
So you are surrounded by health-conscious individuals who are, again, a jury of your peers. And they're going to decide if your habits are healthy, unhealthy, or gross. We're going to
Okay.
figure out what they are. Let's roll the tape.
Let's get the razor out of the shower. There. Okay. And we're just gonna get your reaction, because essentially when you use my razor and you leave it
There's no
in the
evidence that I
shower.
used this
Here,
razor.
hang on. So this is
There's no
basically
evidence.
There's no evidence. So just to clarify before everybody votes,
Yes.
you actually borrow his razor from time to time.
From time to time, I've been known to borrow his razor.
The same as the female razors, right?
No, they're better.
They're better. Mm-hmm. They cut better.
Ladies, anybody? They're better.
They cut better.
They cut
I
better.
hope the manufacturer's listening to this. All right. So, audience, I want you to hear, you yell this out. Now, you saw the video. Is borrowing your husband's razor unhealthy, or is it just plain gross? Unhealthy. They're mostly saying unhealthy.
Okay.
You think they're right?
Probably.
Yeah. Well, it is unhealthy.
Okay.
Yeah. And it may work better, but here's why it's unhealthy. So a male razor is designed actually to be sharper than a female razor. It cuts better because men have much coarser beards, hopefully, than women have, for example, hair on their legs. So a men's razor, here's a zucchini, watch this, will actually peel a zucchini,
Oh my gosh.
which you don't want to do to your skin, right? I mean, it's pretty effective, isn't it? So Rodney's razor, because it can do this, is also filled with bacteria. All kinds of bacteria that sort of are his bacteria, not
Delicious.
yours. Delicious.
Okay.
Appetizing. So when that bacteria gets on you, you're taking whatever infections he may have picked up at the gym or in his life, and you're putting it in your female body. Female razors are designed for women. They're not supposed to cut as deep. They're not supposed to take that top layer of skin off that often happens with a sharp male razor. So I've got a little present for you.
Yay.
Here's some feminine razors. Practice with them, they'll be just as good.
I'll try.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Rodney. All right. We first met Kristen and Paul because Paul was being charged as being gross for having his hair littering the entire environment with the kids. And her husband actually decided to turn the tables on her. Take a look.
A toothbrush. A toothbrush and so somebody was brushing their teeth in the shower. The worst part about this is actually my toothbrush. Because Kristen doesn't own a toothbrush.
Why would you use Paul's toothbrush?
I don't have my own. And we make out anyway, so what does it matter?
You don't have your own toothbrush?
No. I
you-
used to, but I started using his.
Why? Once you were together, why not?
If I get a new toothbrush, she takes the toothbrush and uses the new toothbrush. I don't have my own toothbrush.
Independent of what they say, you're gonna need a toothbrush. So I'll give this one to you, so you can have this one. But
Thank you.
in a moment. Well, let me just ask the audience, is borrowing your husband's toothbrush unhealthy or just plain gross? Oh, it's both. They think it's a combination. Well, it turns out, actually, that it's just plain gross because you're married and because you're sharing bodily fluids anyway. If you weren't, there would be a big-time gross issue there and unhealthy issue. But I still think it's not so wise. And let me explain why. So obviously the teeth are bathing in bacteria because your mouth is the dirtiest part of your body. May I borrow your toothbrush for a second?
Absolutely.
So you take your toothbrush and you very diligently, you brush those teeth a little bit, right? Now let me show you what happens to that toothbrush. This is a light specially designed. We're gonna have the overhead lights down. Watch what happens to this brush. You see the bacteria on there? Can you appreciate that? That's just a little bit of fluid from the tooth being stuck on there. And of course, the tooth itself, if I can show this, has lots as well. Isn't that interesting? All these crevices, there's no way, even when you make your teeth clean, they're not really clean. You're just reducing the amount of debris on them. So I think the smartest thing to do is not to share toothbrushes. So, assuming that it's a convenience issue for you, you deserve your own
Thank
toothbrushes.
you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Finally, Lindsay and Ian, take a look at this. Lindsay seems to have a problem pouring herself a glass of juice. So Ian caught his wife chugging.
What are you doing?
Stop.
Lindsay, you were caught red-handed. He got you. He got you. Now, I have to admit, of all the things we've talked about today, this is the one that I am guilty of. And I get a lot of flack for it.
Yeah.
Why do you chug?
I mean, I know it's not very ladylike, but why not save washing a glass? I'm lazy.
Isn't that the reason? I think the same thing. Why would I get a glass dirty for a little sip of water that I'm going to take?
Just a taste.
All right, audience, you guys vote, since you're our peers. Is it unhealthy or just plain gross, what we're doing? Lindsay, they're voting gross, and thankfully what you and I do is just only gross, not unhealthy, because, again, we're sharing fluids. What I do think, it's similar to the toothbrush there, but not quite as gross, is I like to clean the top a little bit when I'm done just to make myself feel better about it. You might want to try that.
I'll try that next time.
And from now on, just try pouring a little bit.
I'll try.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on new videos to live the good life.